You've been told that happiness is the goal. Not just once, not in passing, it's everywhere. Subtle, loud, constant. Be positive, heal your wounds, fix your mindset. Gratitude journals, cold plunges, morning routines. If you do it right, if you work on yourself hard enough, the promise is simple: you'll feel better. And if you don't feel better, then clearly you're not doing enough. Not thinking right, not manifesting properly, not healed enough. Your pain becomes your fault, so you chase it. Not blindly, with effort, with intention. You listen to the podcasts, you clean your room, you go to therapy, you name your trauma, you set boundaries, you do the work. All in service of that one unspoken hope. One day, this will finally make me feel okay. And sometimes it works for a while. You feel the lift, the lightness, the moment where it all seems to click. You think, this is it. I'm finally becoming the person I'm supposed to be. But it doesn't last. The ache returns. The doubt creeps in again. And suddenly, you're back to that familiar question. What's wrong with me? That's how deep the lie goes. You weren't just sold the idea of happiness. You were sold the belief that if you're not happy, you're broken. That joy is the default. That pain is a glitch. That discomfort is a failure of mindset, energy, or discipline. So now you don't just suffer, you suffer with shame. Because you thought the healing was supposed to fix you. You thought the breakthroughs were supposed to last. You thought peace would feel more permanent than this. And when it doesn't, you start searching again. More books, more techniques, more upgrades. You call it growth. You call it alignment. But underneath, it's still just the same desperate question. How do I stop feeling this way? Here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. Maybe you're not supposed to feel good all the time. Maybe happiness isn't your natural state. Maybe the very idea that life should feel constantly light and effortless is the exact thing that's making you miserable, because it turns pain into a problem. It turns stillness into failure. It turns being human into something that needs to be optimized. You're not broken for feeling heavy. You're not behind for feeling lost. You're not failing because the peace didn't last. You're just alive. And being alive means moving through seasons, moments, chaos, silence, ache, wonder, collapse, beginning again. The lie is that happiness is permanent. The lie is that you're doing something wrong if it's not. But what if the truth is simpler? What if the emptiness you feel, the ache you keep trying to fix, isn't a sign you're off track? It's a sign the entire game was rigged. If the chase didn't work, you'd think we'd stop chasing. But we don't. We double down. We change the language. We say we're not chasing happiness anymore. We're chasing healing, growth, alignment, purpose. It sounds deeper, more mature, but the engine's still the same. The hustle didn't end, it just rebranded. Now you're chasing peace, chasing clarity, chasing that elusive sense of finally being okay. And the system knows this. It sells you wholeness the same way it used to sell success. It knows exactly how to speak to your emptiness, and it offers you just enough hope to keep you coming back. Books, courses, challenges, retreats. 5 steps to regulate your nervous system. How to become your highest self. How to heal your inner child and step into abundance. It feels like awakening. It feels like freedom. But underneath, it's the same loop with a better outfit. Want, reach, crash, repeat. Now, instead of asking, how do I get more? You're asking, how do I fix what's wrong with me? And either way, you're still stuck. Still searching. Still trying to earn the right to finally rest. That's the trap. And the worst part is, it works. Not forever. Just enough. You feel the lift. You feel like you've cracked something open. But within days, the weight creeps back in. The restlessness returns. The questions start all over again. Not because you failed. Not because you didn't try hard enough. But because the system isn't built to end. It's built to feed itself. That's what no one tells you. You're not broken, you're profitable. And this isn't new. Long before algorithms and life coaches, before social media, before healing journeys became a brand, there was a man who saw it coming. Arthur Schopenhauer, a 19th century philosopher who didn't care about being liked. He wasn't trying to sell you improvement. He was trying to tell you the truth. And his truth was brutal. He believed that behind all our goals, dreams, and desires, there's one force quietly running the show. A blind, restless, insatiable energy that keeps pushing us forward, no matter how much we achieve. He called it the will. Not your willpower, not your ambition, just will, the deep, primal force inside everything alive. It doesn't care what you want, it just wants. And once it gets what it wanted, it wants again. New craving, new identity, new mission, new fix. Sound familiar? The will doesn't stop, because stopping would mean peace. And peace is bad for business, whether it's capitalism or self-help. This is what Schopenhauer saw, that the very structure of life is based on lack. That wanting isn't just part of being human. It is being human. And as long as that will is driving, satisfaction will always be temporary. It doesn't matter how evolved you are, how spiritual, how disciplined, how self-aware. If you're alive, the will is in you, moving, shifting, craving. So no, you didn't fail. You didn't miss a step. You just got caught in a machine that never stops moving. The question now isn't, how do I feel good again? It's this. What happens when you stop following the will? You wake up and before your feet even hit the floor, it's there. That subtle pull. The need to check, scroll, move, reach. The sense that something has to happen today for it to be worth anything. That's the will. It's not loud, not always. Sometimes it's a whisper, a flicker of discomfort when things are quiet, a hum of agitation when nothing's urgent. But you feel like you should be doing something anyway. You feel it after the achievement, after the moment you thought would satisfy you. You feel it even when you've done everything right. That should be the moment you feel full, right? Instead, you feel empty. And then the thoughts creep in. Maybe I didn't aim high enough. Maybe I need a new vision. Maybe I just need to want better things. But the truth is, you're not thinking that. The will is. This isn't you being broken. It's the architecture of your being. The will lives under your habits, your dreams, your drive. It doesn't care what you want, only that you keep wanting. And the moment it gets what it wanted, it moves the goalpost. Again, and again, and again. You thought fulfillment was the end, but the will sees it as a brief pause before the next craving. That's why you're always rebranding your life, always editing your identity, always trying to become someone slightly different, slightly better. Because the will doesn't want you to arrive, it just wants you in motion. You've mistaken it for ambition, for intuition, for self-discovery. But it's none of those things. It's older, more mechanical, deeper than thought. And Schopenhauer saw it with brutal clarity. He didn't tell you to fix it. He didn't say there's a way to beat it. He just said this is what suffering is. Not pain from injury. Not grief from loss, but the quiet, constant ache of being wired to want, without end. It's not a flaw in your system. It is your system. And this is where everything starts to shift. Because now you can stop asking, why do I always feel like something's missing? You know why. It's not the wrong goal. It's not the wrong person. It's not the wrong path. It's the will. Always just out of reach. Always whispering. Almost. Almost. Just a little more. So what do you do with that? You stop confusing the will with your truth. You stop mistaking the urge for direction. You stop assuming every craving is a calling. You stop thinking the discomfort means something's wrong with your life, instead of just being part of life. And in that moment, the moment you see the will for what it is, something quiet opens. Not bliss, not freedom. Just space. The kind of space where you don't have to reach. You might still move, still strive, still want. But now there's distance. Now there's a gap between the impulse and the action. And in that gap, there's power. Not the power to control the will. Just the power to stop letting it define you. You don't kill it, you live beside it, you watch it, you learn from it, you stop letting it speak in your voice. And for the first time, you begin to wonder what life might feel like when you're no longer chasing. That's where we go next. You can't outrun it. You've tried, you've meditated through it, optimized around it, transformed it into purpose, passion, productivity. You've made it your fuel, the hunger to be better, do more, reach higher. You've spiritualized it, called it alignment, flow, intuition. But deep down, you know, it's still the same hunger, still the same chase. And at some point you stop asking, what else can I try? And you start asking, what if I just stop trying? Not out of defeat, out of truth. Because when you really see the will, the force that never stops wanting, you realize this isn't a fight you're meant to win. This isn't about hacking your brain, or mastering your energy, or finally reaching that healed version of yourself who's always calm, always centered, always in control. That person doesn't exist. And the chase to become them? That's the trap. So you try something else. You stop. Not your life. Not your responsibilities. You stop performing wholeness. You stop pretending that stillness only counts when it feels good. You start sitting in the in-between, the neutral, the uncertain, the boring, the places that don't feel like progress. And at first, it feels like failure, like you're giving up, like you're falling behind. But slowly, something shifts. The ache is still there. The restlessness still whispers. But now you're not responding automatically. You're not jumping up to fix the feeling. You're just watching. And in that space, something happens that the chase never gave you. Breath, room, presence. You start to notice things you never had time to see before. The way silence settles into a room. The way your body feels without stimulation. The way moments, ordinary moments, unfold when you're not trying to turn them into something else. It's not bliss. It's not a breakthrough. It's honest. And in a world built on pretending, that's radical. Because now, you're not reacting to the will. You're not mistaking its hunger for urgency. You're not letting every flicker of discomfort send you spiraling into action. You're choosing, slowly, deliberately, from a place that isn't chasing peace, but becoming still enough to recognize it. And the peace you find in those moments, it doesn't feel like the happiness you were sold. It doesn't sparkle. It doesn't last. It doesn't post well. But it's real. It's the kind of peace that doesn't need to be exciting to matter. The kind of peace that doesn't prove anything. The kind that just lets you be a person again. No more performing enlightenment. No more fixing what was never broken. No more trying to make stillness feel like a win. Just breath. Just body. Just this. This isn't surrender as collapse. This is surrender as clarity. As seeing through the illusion and refusing to play along. Not because you've given up, but because you've finally started to see clearly. The will still moves, but it doesn't own you. You're not chasing anymore. You're watching. You're here. And maybe, for the first time, that's enough. You'd think waking up to the will would be enough. You'd think naming it, seeing the pattern, stepping out of the chase would give you peace, and maybe it does, for a while. But then the world starts pushing back. Because this world doesn't run on stillness. It doesn't reward contentment. It doesn't know what to do with someone who no longer wants more. This world is built on hunger, and it needs yours to keep spinning. So the moment you stop chasing, it gets uncomfortable. Not just for you, for them. Your stillness makes people nervous. Your refusal to play makes people uncomfortable. Because if you're not trying to become something, what are you even doing? That's when the system kicks in. The influencers, the experts, the algorithms, all whispering the same thing in different tones. You're not done yet. Maybe you need a new mindset, a better morning routine, a spiritual upgrade, another shadow to integrate. They'll package it with compassion, wrap it in healing language, but the message is the same. You're not there yet, but we can help you get there. That's the part they don't tell you, that even healing becomes a trap. Even awakening becomes a product. Even your pain becomes marketable. Your nervous system, it's a revenue stream. Your grief, a niche. And the more aware you become, the more they rebrand the chase to match your level of consciousness. It's not about money now. It's about being your truest self. It's not about goals. It's about embodied authenticity. It's not about fixing yourself. It's about fully integrating your inner world. New words, same game. The system doesn't care what you're chasing, only that you keep chasing. Because someone is always selling the next step, the next framework, the next healing path. And you're the fuel, your ache, your doubt, your hope. You're not failing. You're just more profitable when you're not at peace. And peace, real peace, not the curated kind, is bad for business. You stop consuming, you stop performing, you stop needing the next thing. So no one sells you peace. They sell you a performance of peace. Something you can post, something you can market, something that looks serene from the outside but still feels like striving on the inside. That's what they don't tell you. That real peace looks boring. It looks like quiet days and fewer updates. It looks like not being impressive anymore. It looks like doing less and being okay with that. And that kind of peace, it can't be packaged, so they'll never show it to you. Because the moment you stop needing improvement, you stop being useful. But here's the truth. You don't owe this system your ambition. You don't have to monetize your suffering. You don't have to perform wholeness for people who are still pretending to. You're allowed to stop. You're allowed to feel empty without turning it into content. You're allowed to feel lost without making it a brand. You're allowed to just be here. Confused, uncertain, unfinished. And in that space, you're not broken, you're not behind, you're not missing anything. You're just done pretending. So what now? If the chase has ended and you're still here, what do you live for? So now what? You've seen the chase. You've felt the will. You've stopped mistaking exhaustion for failure. You've stopped calling stillness laziness. You know now, the emptiness isn't a glitch. It's not proof you missed your shot. It's not a sign you need to pivot, hustle, or reinvent again. It's just space. The space that shows up when the engine finally stops running your life. And that space, that's where your real life actually begins. Not the curated version, not the optimized one, just the one that's been waiting for you, underneath all the noise. But living there takes practice. Because the will still whispers, it still shows up as restlessness. It still tries to convince you that meaning is always somewhere else. It's not gone, but it's not God anymore. You don't need to obey it, and that changes everything. You stop reaching for constant highs. You stop expecting every moment to be profound. You stop needing your life to feel good all the time to know it's real. Instead, you start listening. You notice things you never gave yourself time to feel, like how a quiet morning can carry more weight than a dopamine spike, or how the ache in your chest softens when you stop trying to fix it, or how peace isn't something you find, it's what shows up when you stop performing. You're not chasing happiness anymore. You're learning to live without an audience, without the algorithm, without the voice in your head asking, "What's the angle?" And that means your choices change. You say no more often, not out of fear, but out of clarity. You say yes more slowly, because there's no rush now. You move toward things that feel rooted, not just exciting. You don't need your life to be impressive, you just need it to be true. That might mean boredom, that might mean silence, that might mean nothing to post today. But you're not performing wholeness anymore. You're living it. Even when it's messy, flat, or quiet. And that's real freedom. Not the kind they sell. Not the kind that looks aesthetic, the kind that doesn't need to be seen. So what do you do with all of this? You breathe. You slow down. You stop trying to turn your inner life into a product. You stop treating your soul like a side hustle. You live with the will, but no longer beneath it. You let it speak. You let it pull. And you let it pass without giving it the wheel. You walk through the world knowing there's nothing to catch, nothing to win, nothing to unlock. Only moments and breath, and the quiet clarity that this, right here, is enough. You'll forget sometimes. That's okay. You'll chase again, you'll get pulled in, you'll believe the voice that says you need just one more thing. But now you know the truth. You're not late, you're not broken, you're not missing anything, you're just here. Still, awake, done pretending. And that's the whole point. If something in this made you stop, even for a second, stay close. Not for tips, not for motivation, but for space like this, where you don't have to chase, where you don't have to fix. Where not knowing is allowed. Subscribe if it feels right, or don't. Just don't go back to sleep.